The following is a HennessyHendo production. It includes excerpts and material from my vast collection of books and general knowledge. Please share the videos. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.
The Weather Underground Organization, WUO, commonly known as the Weathermen, was a far-left revolutionary group active in the late 1960s and 1970s. It emerged from the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS, and became notorious for its bombings, attacks on government institutions, and radical ideology. This analysis explores origins and ideological roots, major leaders and membership, key actions and bombings, 4. Tactics, strategy, and underground operations, government response and FBI investigations, decline and disbandment, 7. Impact and legacy, controversies and public perception. Part 1. Origins and ideological roots. The Weather Underground evolved from the Students for a Democratic Society, SDS, which was one of the most influential left-wing organizations in the 1960s counterculture movement. A. Formation and split from SDS, 1969. SDS was originally a non-violent socialist student movement that opposed the Vietnam War, racial injustice, economic inequality. By 1969, a radical faction within SDS, inspired by Marxist-Leninist and Maoist ideologies, broke away to form the Weather Underground Organization, WUO. B. Core ideology. The Weathermen believed in revolutionary anti-imperialism, the idea that the US was a colonial oppressor, violent overthrow of the US government, inspired by Marxist revolutionaries such as Che Guevara, Mao Zedong, and Ho Chi Minh. Solidarity with the Third World. They saw black liberation groups and global communist movements as allies. Days of Rage strategy, a call for direct violent action instead of peaceful protests. Part 2. Major leaders and membership. Several key figures led the Weather Underground. Bill Ayers, co-founder, strategist, later became an education professor. Bernardine Dawn, co-founder, spokesperson, became a law professor. Mark Rudd, leader in SDS, key strategist, later distanced himself from WUO violence. Jeff Jones helped organize actions, worked in progressive political circles. Kathy Boudin led underground operations, served prison time for later crimes. Most members were college-educated white radicals from middle-class backgrounds, motivated by the Vietnam War, racial injustice, and opposition to capitalism. Part 3. Key actions and bombings. The Weather Underground conducted bombings, jailbreaks, and riots targeting U.S. institutions. A. Days of Rage, 1969. A violent protest in Chicago that led to street battles with police. The goal was to bring the war home by disrupting daily life. Failure. Only a few hundred activists showed up, and many were arrested. B. Greenwich Village townhouse explosion, 1970. A WUO safe house in New York City exploded while members were building bobs. 3 weathermen were killed in the explosion. The bobs were meant to be used at a military dance at Fort Dix. This event forced the group underground and radicalized their tactics. C. Series of bombings, 1970-1975. The WUO bombed U.S. government buildings, police stations, and corporate headquarters. Key attacks, 1970, bombing of the U.S. Capitol building. 1971, bombing of the Pentagon. 1972, bombing of the New York Police Headquarters. 1975, bombing of the U.S. State Department. Most attacks were symbolic, as warnings were given beforehand to prevent casualties. Part 4. Tactics, strategy, and underground operations. A. Going underground. After 1970, the WUO disappeared from public view. Members used false identities, forged documents, and safe houses to avoid arrest. Covert communication systems were developed to organize actions. B. Propaganda and radicalization. The WUO issued manifestos and communiques, distributed Prairie Fire, a political statement calling for revolution, aligned with Black Panther Party, Puerto Rican independence groups, and anti-colonial movements. Part 5, Government Response and FBI Investigations. FBI's COINTELPRO crackdown. The FBI classified the Weather Underground as a domestic terrorist organization. Director J. Edgar Hoover ordered aggressive surveillance, infiltration, and sabotage of the group. COINTELPRO, the FBI burglary, 1971. Activists broke into an FBI office in Pennsylvania, exposing COINTELPRO. COINTELPRO's illegal spying, harassment, and entrapment tactics were revealed. This weakened the FBI's legal case against the WUO. Part 6, Decline and Disbandment. By the mid-1970s, the Weather Underground lost momentum for several reasons. A. Internal divisions, disagreements over strategy. Some members rejected further violence. B. Shift in U.S. politics. The Vietnam War ended in 1975, removing the group's main rallying cause. Public support for leftist radicalism declined. C. Government crackdowns and arrests. Many members surrendered in the 1980s. Charges were often dropped due to FBI misconduct during COINTELPRO. D. Official dissolution, 1981. Some former WUO members joined the May 19th Communist Organization, which was later linked to the 1981 Brinks robbery. Others pursued legal careers, education, or social activism. Part 7, Impact and Legacy. A. Political influence. Inspired later direct action movements like Antifa, Earth Liberation Front, and anarchist groups. Bill Ayers became a professor, influencing progressive education policies. B. Debate over terrorism, label. Supporters say they never targeted civilians and were fighting against war crimes. Critics argue bombing government buildings qualifies as terrorism. C. Influence on modern protests. Modern activist groups use WUO-inspired tactics like mass mobilization, sabotage, leaderless resistance strategies. Conclusion: the complex legacy of the Weather Underground. Check. They represented a radical faction of the 1960s New Left, advocating for armed struggle. Check. Their bombings, while symbolic, made them one of the most infamous U.S. domestic extremist groups. Check. Their tactics and philosophy influenced modern activist movements and political discourse. Check. Their legacy remains controversial, either as revolutionaries or terrorists, depending on perspective. The Weather Underground remains one of the most infamous radical leftist groups in U.S. history, symbolizing both the extremes of political activism and the consequences of revolutionary violence.
Thank you for watching. Please share the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Check out other series including 10-minute synopses or complete audiobooks on HennessyHendo on YouTube. Improve your vocabulary. Be more fun at parties. Increase your knowledge. Become a literary master like Hendo.